rock and roll band. It's a free for all.
What is up, freebies? Welcome back to the Free-for-All podcast. My name is MJ, not Jordan nor Jackson. It's Baird, as you can see on your screen, KFDX sports reporter. Alongside the man on the right side of your screen, it's the guy I always look up to. He's the Burnett ISD athletic director, Coach Free. Grant Freeman, how are you? Oh, I can't hear you anymore.
Country.
I can hear you again. Say that again. How are you doing?
It's a wonderful day in the hill country.
Is that your new thing? Wonderful day in the hill country. Is that a neighborhood?
I should take off my shoes, change my sweater, all that stuff.
And the man in the middle, he's the WFISD multimedia specialist, the voice of Memorial Stadium and Legacy High School, Chad Johnson. What up?
You're not looking up to him anymore now that you just see him on a computer screen.
That's a good point. We try to make it our eye level somewhat even, and you wouldn't know that I'm 5'0" and he's 6'3".
6'5", sir.
Point. You exacerbated my point. Thank you very much. Before we go any further, let me take a moment here to thank our sponsor here on the Free-for-All podcast. That is McCauley Landscapes, proud sponsor of the Free-for-All and proudly serving Wichita Falls and the surrounding area for 21 years now. Their services including lawn maintenance, landscaping, irrigation, repair, all that good stuff, and so much more. You can visit them online, McCauleyLandscapes.com, for more information on how they can help you with your lawn care and landscaping needs. The Free-for-All relies on McCauley Landscapes, and you should too. Gentlemen, this is season 3, episode 2. Overall, it's episode 68. One athlete comes to mind for me. Any 68s that you guys can think of?
Not a single one.
Coach
I
Free?
didn't do any research today.
I got one. He's on the ice. Jaromir Jagr.
That's a good one.
Oh, okay. That's the problem. When we started doing seasons and then it went like 1s and 2s,
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to have to think a lot. So
Get to thinking.
can we go back to season 2, episode 2, and take my number 2 person?
Who was that?
I don't remember.
Me either.
L.C. Greenwood, legendary Steelers defensive lineman.
Who you're saying he wore 68?
Yes.
Okay.
Russ Grimm, one of the original Hogs, I believe. The Redskins.
News to me. The only name I recognized was Jaromir Jagr.
Do you know who the Hogs are?
No. Talking about Arkansas
The Redskins
Razorbacks?
line.
No, it was like the Redskins offensive line in the early mid 80s, I guess.
I see.
I guess they still go by the Hogs per se, but that was their heyday.
Yeah, they would dress up in female attire with pig noses.
Yes.
In the stands.
Okay. Heard. Couple football things I want to jump into today, Coach Free. I don't even know where to start. There's so many good things to start with. I guess we'll start college football. Did you see the Fresno State-Oregon State game this past weekend?
No.
Did anybody other than Tobin McDuff watch the Fresno State? Who'd they play again?
Oregon State?
Oregon State game?
No, nobody watched
Is
it
this one
live.
of those like that kicks off at 10?
Probably. Actually, no, it's daytime. I'm looking at some of the footage over here. But it was on the CW, so, take that for what it's worth. But there was a play in this game that kind of went viral that I thought was absolutely hysterical, so we're going to watch it. Here we go. This is the special teamers from Oregon State. All right. Bad snap. Punter, just decides I'm kicking this thing straight off the ground. Didn't matter. You can't do that, but it didn't matter because Fresno State is going to return it to the house anyway for a pick six. Or not a pick six, a fumble
Kick
six?
six,
A kick
something.
six. Yeah, that works too.
So you can't kick it off the ground like
No,
that?
you have to punt the ball before it hits the ground. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. There's a flag on this play, but the flag got negated anyway because, as I mentioned, the result of the play was a touchdown in favor of the team who didn't commit the foul.
So you can do a drop kick. Is that just on a field goal attempt, I guess?
Yeah, it must be. I looked up the rule for a punt, and you have to kick it before it makes contact with the ground.
Gotcha.
It's essentially like the punt's been blocked. That's why they can return it.
Got it. So even if they didn't return it, though, they're getting 15 yards from the result of that play.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you know the rules, Coach Free. Because
Well, it would either be the recovery side or 15 yards, whichever is further.
Sure. Okay. Right. Let's say it wasn't recovered. Let's say it went out of bounds.
Yeah.
15 from there. What I was saying is, I'm so glad you know the rules as a football coach, though, because certainly you heard that the Titans coach Brian Callahan does not know the rules.
No, he does not.
Yeah. So anyone at home's like, what do you mean? Why are we dogging on this guy? Oh, just have a listen to this clip. This is Titans. By the way, Titans not expected to have a good year. This was in week 1, did not help. Titans head coach Brian Callahan talking to the media after the game. There was a play, a questionable call that was on the field, ruled no catch. The question was, should we be challenging a play like this? They ended up not challenging it, and he explains why and why that was the wrong call. Here's part 1 of What Are We Doing? Brian Callahan.
Yeah, you got to get a foot in bounds too, which we didn't have a clean look at whether his foot was down as well. An elbow doesn't equal 2 feet, so his foot would have had to come down as well. We didn't have a clean look, so the call from upstairs was that it wasn't worth challenging.
I thought an elbow did equal 2 feet.
Oh, it most certainly does. It most certainly does. NFL head coach did not know that.
Not only that, but you got to have 2 feet in. He said he needed 1 foot in.
I think he was saying 1 foot plus the elbow.
Oh.
But that isn't true. The elbow equals 2 feet. So a couple days later, obviously this went viral. Like, NFL head coach doesn't know what he's talking about. So he comes to the podium again and says this.
My interpretation of the rule was wrong. I'll own it. We should have challenged the play, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. Is I'll own the mistake. Should have challenged it, and that's where it stands.
At least he owned it, but my interpretation of the rule.
Coach Free, what are you thinking here?
Well, I've got a lot of questions. The first being Brian Callahan didn't do a real good job last year because they ended up with the number 1 pick. Number 2, what is his coaching tree other than being Bill Callahan's son? And 3, what are you even talking about?
Great question. Great question.
Like, how did he get the position of Titans head coach?
Now, obviously, there's people whose job it is to determine a challenge up in the booth, right? Especially at the NFL level.
No, to give advice.
To give advice.
The ultimate authority lies with the head coach. I mean, they're giving them advice. Like, people gave me advice in my headset all the time, but that's my ultimate jurisdiction. That I ultimately make that decision as the head coach.
Maybe.
So I have to, 1, know the rules, and 2, know whether it's worth it to my team to be able to do that at that point.
Yeah, maybe I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
He clearly got bad advice.
Clearly.
And then acted as such.
Yeah. I just don't see how, if you're a head coach in the NFL, like, you don't know that. Regardless of what somebody tells you in your ear, like, that's like a pretty relevant
You hear
rule.
that all the time. I mean, I've heard that. You hear that multiple times throughout the season where somebody's down and his elbow's in, that counts as 2 feet.
Yeah.
You guys would be shocked at how many people don't know. And they might know the rule, but they don't know how to apply it. Be very honest with you. I think there are a lot of head coaches. That's at all levels. I think that I would say most 80 to 90% are aware of rules. They just don't know how it applies during a real game situation. That's kind of why, like, Belichick was lauded so much because he knew how to apply all the rules. You see that with Vrabel, like the delay of game rules a couple of years ago. Like, you might know the rule or have read through the rule, but you don't know how it actually applies to the game. I think you guys would be shocked. Now, Chad, maybe not so much because he's been an official, but like, it is very shocking how many people that I interact with or encounter don't know how to apply all of the rules of the game.
A lot of them think they know the rules. And they swear they know the rules, at least in baseball, and I'm sure every other sport's the same way. But there are a couple of them that do know the rules, and you better be right when you interpret a rule. But for the most part, most of them don't know the rules.
Coach Free, speaking of rules, you have your own set of quote-unquote rules that you have talked about on this podcast before when it comes to chasing points in football games.
Yeah.
And just generally speaking, lay it out for our folks who may be just tuning in for the first time. You have a set of rules, and it's pretty simple. What is your rule on chasing points?
In the first half, we never chased points. We just accumulated points. So anything in the first half, we accumulated points as much as we could. So what that meant was a great example of that is anything in the first half. If we came down to a weird 4th down situation, in a scoring area, we just took the point. We kicked the field goal. If it came down to 2-point play or whatever in the first half, we always went for one. We took the guaranteed points. We tried to accumulate as many points as we could in the first half. And then beginning in the second half, then we started looking at situations.
Unfortunately, I did.
If you guys could hear that, I'm sorry. I don't know if you could.
Yes, we could hear it.
Okay, great. Just an ad playing on ESPN that was not supposed to be playing.
Totally fine.
Totally fine. So the reason I had you lay that out, there were 2 instances this week where I am screaming to myself, Coach Free's rules apply here. Okay? One of them was at the high school level. It was actually out at Memorial Stadium. It was the game between Memorial and Friendship, right? So I wrote it down here just so I don't butcher it. Friendship scores a touchdown to go up 19-14 with 3.5 minutes left in the second quarter. So the Tigers up 19-14, 3:44 to play. They go for 2 here, right before the end of the half, and they miss it. So it stays 19-14, okay? Well, then in the third quarter, they extend it to 26-14, just going for 1. Then Memorial mounts a comeback, right? So then it's 26-21. Mavericks are in this game down by 5. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Then, with under a minute to play, the Mavs score a touchdown to now take the lead, 27-26, where if you're not chasing those points in the first half, that's all of a sudden a tie game. You force Memorial to either A, execute a extra point, or B, execute a 2-point conversion. They probably would have tried to kick. No reason to believe they wouldn't make it, but you at least make them execute it. Friendship didn't have that. Now, granted, this is the WFISD team that we here, folks listening to this podcast, are probably rooting for, so they're happy. But I'm thinking to myself, why is Friendship going for this late in the second quarter?
Well, to be fair, not every coach holds my philosophy. That doesn't make him right or wrong. That was just what I believed in. So, with that, that was one of the reasons why we kind of came up with that philosophy, is so that we wouldn't have the weird situations in the second half that we were worried about. Man, I coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah.
And so, again, like I said, the second half for us was always situational points wise. But what we tried to do is give ourselves the best advantage in situations in the second half by scoring the most points that we could possibly score in the first half.
Sure. So then this experiment of mine, parlays itself into Sunday Night Football. Did you watch the Bills and Ravens at all?
I did watch that game.
Chad, did you watch that game?
It was a great football game.
Outstanding. Bills won this game 41-40. So the rabbit hole I'm about to go down really doesn't matter because Buffalo was able to win the game. Now, there's a caveat here. This was in the third quarter, not in the first half, to abide by Coach Free's rules. But for our viewers, let me pull up this screen right here, and we can just go through it real quick. This is just the box score of the Ravens-Bills game, right? So third quarter, Ravens go up 27-13, and then Buffalo responds with a touchdown, 27-19. And as you can see here, they went for 2 at this point, and they failed it. Okay, so it stays 27-19. Well, next thing you know, another 7 from Baltimore, 34-19. We're into the fourth quarter now. The Bills score, go for 2, and they fail again. So that's 2 failed 2-point conversions. When you know it, Derrick Henry runs off another big 46-yard touchdown run. Now, fortunately, they went for an extra point and missed it. I can't remember if this was blocked or went off the upright, but that's beside the point. At this point, Buffalo scores again. They're really pushing. 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They score, go for 1 this time to be down 8, right? And then they score again after they got that ball back. Missed a 2-point conversion again. So that's their third missed 2-point conversion of the second half. And ultimately that crazy ending where they were able to get it back and kick that field goal with zeros on the clock. But all that to say, that's 3 missed 2-point conversions.
Pull that back up a second.
Okay. We're going to lose Coach Free's audio here, so Coach, don't talk. Go ahead, Chad.
So slide up just a little bit.
Sure.
So this is probably a little bit earlier, but kind of the conversation we had yesterday about.
Are you talking about down 15, middle of the fourth?
When you're down 14, a lot of times now when teams are down 14, they'll go for 2 with the thought process of they'll get it one of the 2 times. And if they get it the first time, then all they have to do is kick the extra point.
So that's exactly where I was going.
I still think in the third quarter, that's probably a little too early to do that.
So let's get Coach Free back in on this for a second. I want to get into that scenario in a second here, but first things first, Coach Free. 3 missed 2-point conversions. That sounds to me like the definition of chasing points.
Yeah, it really is. And here's the thing, practice wise, you probably have. I think we had maybe max for the year 4 2-point conversion plays. So at this point in the season, week 1, there's no way that you practice through 3 of them.
Sure.
At least. So now you're calling what we would call regular offense, and that's hit or miss inside, that close in. So it's tough. You want, your 2-point play, you want to like have your first one, your best one that you practice multiple times. Then you might want to have a backup by this point, and then you probably add as the year goes on, but you probably never have more than 5 in a season that you worked on really hard. And once you've run it once, it's been scouted. So I don't know. I just can't imagine having 3 of them in game 1.
Correct me if I'm wrong, MJ, but wasn't one of them a penalty? They were going to kick the extra point, and there was like an offsides or something like that.
Correct.
So it moved
They
it up to
took
the
points
1.
off the board.
Yeah, so it moved it up to the 1. So they decided to go for 2.
Okay. Yep.
But
Yeah,
then they lined up.
That's a double whammy.
But then they lined up in the shotgun and threw the ball.
Sure. NFL teams, it seems
Right.
like, do that so often nowadays. So yes, the long form of this conversation was to get exactly where Chad went to. We've had this conversation. In fact, Chad and I just had it yesterday, Coach Free, on a different podcast. And where it really came from was SEC Media Days. I saw it on, I think it was TikTok. Like these influencers were going around asking football coaches, hey, hypothetical, right? You're down 15, 5-6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Let's say you got 2 timeouts, right? You score a touchdown. Are you going for 2? Are you going for an extra point? What's the philosophy there? And I want to get your thoughts in a second, but then let's relate it to this game because this was the exact scenario.
Mm-hmm. So that actually happened in our first game here in Burnett. And I actually disagreed with. I'm not coaching anymore, but
Right.
I disagreed with the path that our coach took. So I always want the go for 2 to be to either win the game or tie the game at the end.
Okay.
That was my philosophy because so scenario here, fourth quarter down 15-0 at that time, we score. And so it's now 15-6. So to me, you keep yourself in the game longer. If you kick the extra point there, make it 7. And then the next time you score, you got to get a stop and a score. Then you're going for 2 to tie the game.
Right.
In this scenario, if you miss it at the beginning, again, down 15 is the key here. If you miss it at the beginning, you have no chance. You need another possession.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, going for 1 on the first touchdown extends it to get to go for 2. You just don't want. This is where I disagree with the analytics people, like being down 14 in the whole deal, and you say that you're going to get it once or you're going to win the game. Don't take yourself out of being able to have 1 possession left to win the game and or tie the game, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
You do that if you're down 15. If the first one you go for it and miss, you're out. You're done.
Right.
It's interesting to hear the different takes because if I'm not mistaken, our coaches here, Greg Davis and Mark Bendel, both said, like your coach did, they would go for 2 the first time, correct? Isn't that what they said?
Yeah, Coach Bindle was basically saying, you need to know these are different coaching philosophies. I wouldn't say one's wrong and one's right. You know what I mean? But his thought is we need to know what we need, right? At some point, you have to get the 2-point conversion. I personally agree with Coach Free. I want to be, quote unquote, in the game as long as possible. I want to have a chance with zeros on the clock to either tie, win, or lose, right? Probably in this case.
It's a possession thing to me. Like you eliminate it, you eliminate yourself right then. If you miss it, you eliminate yourself right then. Because now instead of 1 possession to tie the game up,
2.
You need 2 to win the game.
Right.
It comes down to you only have so many possessions in a game. And so if you're taking one of them away or making yourself add 1,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a scenario that's good for you.
Right.
If you're the team chasing.
Now,
You need the least amount of possessions if you are chasing.
to play devil's advocate, someone would say, well, I'd rather have, 4 minutes on the clock needing 9 than 2 seconds on the clock needing 2. Meaning if you miss. But personally, I disagree. I want to have that 1 play for the game. You got to make the 2-point conversion at some
100%
point.
disagree.
You have to make it either first or at the end. And your chances of making it one time versus the other, it's no different. Still 50-50 either way. But the other thing that comes into play in the argument that Coach Free and I are taking is this idea of momentum, idea of believing, the players believing, hey, we're still in this game down 8.
To go
Your
back
job as a head coach is not to see what you need. Your job is to put your team in the best position to win.
Chad, were you going to say something there?
I was just going to backtrack a little bit to talk. I mean, it was a point I should have made earlier, but the high school game, we're talking about later. Okay, yeah, Memorial would still have to kick the extra point to win the game, which sometimes extra points are almost an afterthought. But we're talking about a wet field.
Yes.
We're talking about a new kicker for Memorial. We're talking about a high school game where extra points aren't the gimmies that they are in a lot of scenarios.
True.
So the whole chasing points aspect, maybe it cost them, maybe it didn't, but at least in your scenario, they're at least making them attempt the extra point on a wet field.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just going to pull back up to wrap this back into the NFL game, right? So Coach Free and I's thought process here is what the Bills did. As you can see, they're down 15, 40-25. They score, and they go for 1 to make it that 1-possession, 8-point game. Now they scored again, and as you can see, 2-point pass conversion failed. This is the point we're getting at. You miss it. It happens. It's 50-50. Sometimes you're going to miss it. And at 40-38 with 2 minutes left in the game, I bet you Buffalo probably thought they weren't going to win the game. I know fans were leaving the stadium, right? But that's you live with that. You had the chance to tie it, and you didn't get it.
But they still had all 3 timeouts.
They did, and it was on the wrong side of the 2-minute warning, which isn't great. But thought being, for the most part, your stat probability to win this game at that point is, next gen stats. It's probably low.
Also, if I remember right, Baltimore helped them out and threw a pass on first down or second down of that drive.
Maybe I don't remember.
They had a timeout to set up for the field goal.
Yeah, I think it was.
No, they didn't have a timeout to set up for the field goal because remember they ran him on.
They could have
because they had.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many seconds they had. That like 20 seconds, but it wasn't a super big rush, but it was a run them in there.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because then there was question about whether Baltimore should have called their timeout or when they called it.
Because if I'm not mistaken, I think on second or third down, I don't remember what down they kicked on, but Allen kind of centered it up.
Correct. He ran to the left
They
hash.
did it with like 25 or 30 seconds to go.
And for the record, underrated story, Matt Prater was kicking for them, 41 years old, was a free agent the week before. You don't necessarily practice the hurry-up field goal with your 1-week interim kicker. It was wild.
But we are talking about a guy that's kicked in the NFL for 20 years and been a very good kicker, too.
Sure.
So.
Absolutely. Again, all this is moot because Buffalo ultimately won the game. But the football nitty-gritty of it just always intrigues me. So I appreciate the coach feedback side of that.
Hey, Grant, ask MJ how his feelings are on Josh Allen this week.
What you think about Josh?
No fraudulence this week. 0. None. Did a great job. You can ask Chad on our podcast that we recorded yesterday. I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year.
He did.
Wow.
Bills over the Eagles was my prediction. Just saying. Maybe I'm coming around.
I don't know.
Okay. To stick with one NFL storyline to another, it's actually a college and NFL storyline. How about my guy Bill Belichick? You hear all this crap about not allowing NFL scouts to his place? Nuts, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't even understand it. Like, what? Aren't you supposed to be, for the kids here? Like, scouts are good for your players.
I was going to say the only person that's hurting is the college athletes that are on his team.
Right.
And it seems weird because Vrabel came out and said, well, he hasn't been banned from our facility. He's been here multiple times and then listed those times.
Yeah.
That's Bill being Bill.
Your boy Bill Belichick has jumped off of some deep end.
Yes.
And I don't know that he's ever going to recover.
Did they win last week in week 2? I know they played.
I believe so.
Okay, so they're 1-1.
They beat School of the Blind. Yes.
Yeah, they played somebody not very good. Let's see who they got this week because I don't remember.
Also, somebody like a Division I AA.
Yeah, they're playing Richmond.
The Richmond Spiders.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So I mean, look, the football program's got a long way to go after getting blown out by TCU, but they beat Charlotte 20-3, UNC Charlotte, and now they got Richmond. I mean, look, I love Belichick. He brought me my childhood so much joy. as I'm seeing him get older, and I'm very much questioning his life choices.
It's not good right now. It really isn't. And this goes back to what I was talking about when you were trumpeting him up for like NFL jobs, why people weren't interested in him. Like, I'm just telling you, he don't have his fastball.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's not making egregious errors like Brian Callahan and not knowing the rules, but he's, kind of close. Kind of close.
You know what else Bill Belichick doesn't have at North Carolina?
Go ahead.
Number 12.
True.
Although I did hear that they're looking at a kid named Tim Brody to bring in.
Do I know what that means?
Oh, like Chad Powers?
Yeah.
Way over my
Uncle
head.
Chad's full of the dad jokes today.
I actually, it was a meme that was posted. It was a UNC bringing in a new quarterback out of the transfer portal, and it was Tim Brody, but it was Tom Brady that.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I am a little bit slow there. Coach Free, got any college football thoughts as far as like the top 25 go? Like, who do you like?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I've watched a bunch of games over the last 2 weeks. I'll tell you who I don't like, and I'm kind of shocked. I do not like the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah,
I'm not impressed, and that's a really big faux pas down here. Have not been impressed with Arch. Have not been impressed with them at all. Just from an overall team, especially an overall offense. But here's the thing, man. I think this is the year where there are legitimately, as of right now, there are a lot of teams that are pretty good. I think there's a lot of parity. I think anybody in the top 10 right now, again, after 2 weeks, anybody from the top 10 has a legitimate chance at winning a national championship other than Texas. And they have the talent. But it is as kind of, spaced out talent-wise as I can remember it in a long time.
So, question for you, Grant, and I know it's come up this week, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't notice it, but I didn't watch much of the Texas game this last week against San Jose State. But I guess that even Sark's been asked about it. There's been a lot of questions on Arch that his mechanics are off, that he's like got a hitch in his throwing motion, that it looks like his shoulders hurt or something. Yeah. But they were like, he doesn't have his mechanics, just look way off.
Noticed this in the Ohio State game, and I did not notice his arm angle as much as I noticed his platform, his feet. What we talk a lot about, like Patrick Mahomes throwing off platform or being off base, but a lot of that is due to being pushed out of the pocket or chased or moved. You don't do it from a clean pocket. You don't have an off platform throw from a clean pocket. And if you notice, if you go back and watch Arch over the last couple of weeks, both weeks, he's throwing off platform from a pocket, like he's not being pressured. He's in a 3-step in a clean pocket, and he's getting up high on his feet. He's got his feet together. He's weird arms slotting it. It just seemed really strange. I did not notice thinking he had like shoulder problems. I just felt like that's something that we see with quarterbacks when they're not knowing what's in front of them, like they're scared of the rush or they're confused by coverage. So you see off-platform throws, and that's really shocking to me from him. And again, we assimilate him with Peyton and Eli being incredibly brainiacs, but what he is showing us right now is that he does not feel comfortable in the offense, and that could be a lack of, he's a junior and hasn't played a lot. And when he did play, it was in packages where he didn't have to think a lot, or it was against, Louisiana Monroe and some of those that, they were highly more talented than.
And that was
so I'm really interested in how he continues to grow going forward.
And that was the reason I wanted to ask you that, because that was some of the discussion was last year, I guess, when Ewers got hurt for 3 or 4 weeks and he went in, that he looked pretty good. His mechanics were sound, and like I say, and I guess some of the press conferences this week, Sark's been getting real defensive about his mechanics. But a lot of people that have really watched him said, like you say, that something is off, whether it's an injury or just bad mechanics, or like you say, not knowing what he's reading, whatever.
It does not seem to me, again, in my quarterback coaching brain, it does not seem to me like he is injured. I will.
Okay.
Go ahead with that. The arm angle slots are different, but that's normal. That actually shows probably that your shoulder is sound. It's the feet. It's the feet. It's the bailing out of things really quick, coming off reads really quick, scrambling really quick with a clean pocket. He just doesn't look comfortable, and so that I just look from the waist down, and so the only thing that I can assimilate other than watching film with him or knowing what the play call is and what he's attempting to read or what the protections are that he's calling, that he's either A, uncomfortable with what they're running, or B, he does not know what's going on and or trust what's going on directly in front of him.
You know what I found interesting, and I guess this was before the season started, because everybody's proclaimed him as being the number one pick in the draft.
Right.
And his dad they were kind of asking his dad, and he's like, "Look, man," he's like, kind of tampering. He's like, "Let's see how this year goes." He's never been a starter in college football at this point in time. He's like, our full expectation right now is he's gonna be here for 2 years, but let's let him get some games under his belt before you start proclaiming him the number one pick in the draft next year. And that was his dad. So
and again, the Mannings are not known for having elite arm talent. They are known or being elite athletes. Now, he is more of an elite athlete, but I'm not sure that he has elite arm talent. And the problem is, if he doesn't have the brain to overcome that, then he's kind of just a normal quarterback that can run a little bit and has a really cool last name. And now, again, his story is well to be played out. There's a long time left in the season. There's a long time left in next season, because I would assume he's coming back. But there's a long way to go here for sure, because they have the talent on that roster to be one of the best teams in college football. And if he can't make that go, I don't know that an NFL team's going to just load up and sell the draft for them.
Do you think, what percentage, I guess, are we playing here? Are we talking, not good enough versus not getting coached well enough?
No, I don't think it's either.
Okay.
I think it's lack of reps. I really do. We see this. I'll just take it down to the high school level. You very rarely have somebody who's freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, doesn't matter, when they have never been in the actual, game planning. We're doing this. You're the starter. The bullets are flying. It speeds up a lot. Your brain speeds up. A lot of kids don't know how to slow the game down, but mainly slow their brain down. They can probably know exactly what to do, what the play calls are, all of those things. But when that adrenaline is pumping, everything moves at a different speed and your brain reacts in a different way. And so people have to learn how to handle all that. Yeah. And the only thing that does is it just takes reps and it just takes time. I'll give you a great example. John Ledesma for us in 21 could not play quarterback. We tried to play him at quarterback. He could do everything. He could tell you every play call. He could tell you everything, that he was supposed to do, but his brain and his body didn't match up. Yeah. So we played him at running back so that he got the speed of the game. We played him that entire year at running back just so he got it. And then in 22, when we came back and he led us to, all of those games, it all matched up finally because he understood the speed of the game and he understood what his body was going to do, and he did a great job. But if he didn't have those reps in 21 at a different position, it would have been 22 wouldn't have been as successful for sure.
Yeah, and I'm 100% in agreement on the reps thing. I feel that way just about life. Like my job, on camera, live shot, reps, things like that. Like that is invaluable stuff. So I get it translating to football. Given that, does that lead you to believe he needs another year at UT?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Interesting because
I think he would tell you that. I think that's kind of been where he's leaning. Nobody out of Texas or the Manning family has ever on any record said that, he's going in the draft, all of those things. They have been very consistent in what they have said.
And
it's everybody outside.
And that kind of even goes back to, the entire country when he went there as a freshman and redshirted. Yes. And then didn't play a whole lot last year. Everybody's like, oh, Arch Manning's going to transfer. Arch Manning's going to transfer. Who never said anything about Arch Manning transfer? His family, Arch Manning. Because, because they knew what they were getting into when they went to Texas, that they had an established starter that was going to be there for a couple of years.
Chad, what do you think? You want to jump into some Dallas Cowboys talk with our resident Cowboys lover, Coach Free? I'm sorry, not Cowboys lover. I think he declared his fandom over. Is that right? Did that happen? I think that happened. Let's talk Dallas Cowboys because, oh, that's loud. Hello. So sorry. Because the Cowboys played a week 1 game at Philadelphia, Thursday Night Football. They lost. Offense looked pretty good. Tried to score a zillion points. Wow. I'm already jumping to baseball. And basically I think they need to win games 49-48. I've said that before on this podcast. So let's bring in Coach Free and say, Coach, week 1 thoughts leading into week 2, Sunday, noontime, home opener against the Giants.
Yeah, the things that really kind of jumped out to me were the weather delay really kind of threw both teams off a little bit. That does not happen very often in the NFL where you get a weather delay, and so a lot of those players haven't had to deal with something like that, especially in the middle of the third quarter, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
So that longest stoppage, some time like that, just really threw them off, and it just shows you like it's not just kids, like high school kids, that it throws off. It throws off professionals as well, and it really changed the narrative of that game. The second thing to it is, I was shocked by how good the defense looked, and good. Let's temper that. They were able to play better than what I had anticipated in stopping the run because the Eagles didn't pass the ball a lot anyway. Just a second.
Sorry.
But the thing that really bothered me or kind of threw up some red flags for me was I was concerned with CD's drops.
Yes.
And then I was concerned, which I thought was going to be a weakness. The offensive line looked really good, but we didn't spend any money on the running back position, and it came back to bite us here when Miles Sanders fumbled the ball basically to win the game. If that's just where you wish you had that person back there. If that O-line's going to look like that, you just wish you had that hammer back there.
Yeah, and Javonte looked good. I mean, especially fantasy purposes, 2 short touchdown runs. But I totally agree.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Chad?
I mean, I talked a little bit about it the other day, but I mean, I thought defensively they played pretty well in the second half. First half they weren't great. I think Philly had three series and 3 touchdowns, but second half it seemed like they cleaned up some stuff and really kind of held Philly's running game in check, which I think was going to be the big concern was how much is Saquon Barkley going to get?
I saw a stat that was interesting to me, and I don't know if you guys saw this. What's the guy that we got in the trade from Green Bay?
Kenny Clark.
So when Kenny Clark was in the game, the average yards per play was 2.8, and when he was out of the game, it was something like 9.2.
Oh wow,
that's very large.
That blew me away. I couldn't believe that stat. But I didn't know a lot about Kenny Clark. Just being honest, I didn't know a lot about him. But in seeing that stat, that's impactful. Like that's a big deal.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm astonished that it's like a 7-yard difference. I mean, week 1, not a big sample size. I'm not going to lie, but that's encouraging. Right. It's encouraging for a team that struggled to stop the run.
Yeah, and they could have taken him out on passing plays, something like that.
True.
Like it could be situational, but still, that's a pretty interesting stat.
Because wasn't who's the big nose tackle they brought in last year? Huge guy, supposed to stuff the run. He's a veteran, forgetting his name, but he was supposed to be that difference maker. And maybe Kenny Clark can be it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd rather Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
They brought in, what's his name, Jadeveon Clowney the other day for a visit. What do you think of that?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Whatever. The Kenny Clark thing interests me, and here's why.
Talking about
you guys have
Mozzie
always
Smith.
heard me
Is that who you were talking about, MJ?
No,
they drafted him.
No, that's right. Yep.
Big nose tackle, like 300 pounds.
The thing that interests me with Kenny Clark, and you guys have always heard me talk about this when it comes to like football players. I want them to be flexible pieces. And what I have found in my short research of Kenny Clark is like he can play nose all the way out to 5 technique. So like he can play nose at a 0, like directly across from a center, head up with a center, all the way out to a 5, which is outside the tackle. That's impressive.
Versatile.
That's really impressive for a interior lineman to also be an exterior lineman. That doesn't happen a lot at that level. And so that to me, again, whatever, we can say whatever we want to with the trade, but I just didn't know Kenny Clark possessed that. And that's a very if I was that defensive coordinator, if I was Eberflus, I would love that because that gives you a ton of flexibility. You know, you can move Micah from a rush or an edge back to a linebacker, and that's really cool. But an interior to exterior lineman, that's a big deal.
So you're saying, and this is going to sound terrible out of context, there's more Micah Parsons in the world than Kenny Clark's?
Maybe. Now, obviously, Micah had elite
Right, that's what I mean.
skills at what he did. I don't know that Kenny Clark is elite at what he did.
Sure.
But when designing a defense, it is really it is highly to your advantage to have a defensive lineman that can play all the way around. Again, I'll go back to the 22 team that we had. We were in an odd stack. Look, we had a kid named Charles Easterling. Charles Easterling could play he could play zero nose and stand up out on the edge. So we could do a lot of different things because he could do that. It made it to where we didn't have to shift personnel to get big or small. We just moved him.
Yeah.
You can't. We couldn't take Cameron Gould and put his hand in the ground, and it didn't work. But we could move Charles Easterling around that freed Cameron Gould up because without taking somebody off the field or personnelling it off the field, that's a big deal.
I think the general consensus was that the Cowboys got a decent player in return. I think even from day one of the trade, I think we just go back to quantity versus quality, I guess, because I think the general consensus is Micah was worth more picks than he got, but that also Kenny Clark was going to be a very solid player and a helpful player to the Cowboys defense.
Some people,
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mark Bindle being one of them, if I'm not mistaken, picking Green Bay to win the Super Bowl this year.
I had one more question for Grant about the game real quick. Just being a little bit, not being the biggest fan of Schottenheimer and them kind of keeping it vanilla during the preseason. Game one, how did you feel about his play calling?
It didn't do much for me either way. I will tell you this: I keep seeing this stuff about how all of a sudden he was the right hire and all this stuff. He lost. I'm sorry, he's 0 for 1. Like I don't understand this crowning achievement that he just possessed.
There's no moral
or that he
victories in
just
the
accomplished.
NFL.
No, I'm sorry. Like, again, I will stand on. I don't understand how they went through that process and came out with him when he was the offensive coordinator on a professional team in which you just fired the head coach and he did not call plays. I don't understand that. But with all that being said, I mean, let's let him get through a season before we either crown him as the next Tom Landry or we, tag him in the Dave Campo deal. Like I'm not overly impressed with anything he's done thus far.
And it's only been a week, like you said, you got to give him credit both ways. Like you don't want to judge him too early, and you don't want to judge him too early, and I mean that on the good and bad side.
How do we feel about their opponent?
I can tell you right now, Brian Callahan shouldn't have a job, but I've now seen 2 years of it.
How do we feel about their opponent this week? Russell Wilson playing quarterback. He's got to have a short leash. But then you got Dayball, whose job's on the line. Yeah.
They looked bad. And everybody keeps talking about, Jackson Dart, and they drafted so well. And I don't know why Brian Dayball must have like 1,000 Mario lives, but I don't know how he still has a job.
Yeah, if the Cowboys lose to the Giants, yeah.
And again, I had a couple of, very close personal friends that worked with Jackson Dart at Ole Miss, and they rave about him.
Sure.
I mean,
right.
just rave about the person that he was, rave about the competitor he was, and rave about the kind of teammate he was. And if I'm Brian Dayball, and again, his days have got to be numbered.
Yeah.
Why?
He's got to be number one on the hot
seat. Russell
Yeah.
Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in giving the rookie a chance to sit and learn. Does it mean Dayball doesn't get to see another day? Yeah, it might. It might be someone else controlling Jackson Dart. But, I mean, take J.J. McCarthy,
That's
for example.
probably going to happen.
Right? Like, he was hurt, so it's a little different. But he sat out all of last year, and he looked pretty good on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, whatever it was.
Here's the thing, too, with the Giants. If you don't think Jackson Dart is ready yet and Russell Wilson's not your guy, I'm not saying this guy's a savior, but Jameis Winston is their third quarterback. I'm not saying Jameis Winston's a great quarterback either, but if you don't think Jackson Dart is ready, you do have another veteran with a lot of NFL experience sitting there.
Yeah, what's the difference though between Winston and Russell? You know,
Fair.
at that point, it's just
Super
another
Bowl
veteran.
ring.
Super Bowl ring. Okay, fair, good point.
But with that, like, if I'm Brian Daboll and I know I'm going to get fired, here's the only thing that is going to save my job: showing promise with the quarterback that I drafted.
Yeah.
I'm
not
moving all
slam
my
hand
chips
on
to the
table
middle.
for
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
And may not be the
How?
best thing
Like, how
for
are you not
Dart.
doing that?
Like, it may not be the best thing for the kid, but it might keep the coach's job. Like, it's fine line.
Yeah, I agree. Unless somebody that is signing those checks is telling him not to do it, then I don't know. But I am shocked. But with all of that, they looked bad.
Yes.
Like, they looked bad. I thought they would look better. In fact, I think whenever we were doing the predictions, I went back and changed that game to a Giants win, if I remember right.
I had the
And
Cowboys starting 0-4, so I had a Giants win.
I'm just not impressed with them at all.
Chad, you're our resident baseball guy. Maybe Coach Free wants to come off the screen because he doesn't care. But man, the Texas Rangers, brother.
Hey, man, they're getting it together. Everybody gets hurt, season over, and
then it's not.
all of a sudden the young guys come in and a little bit different ball game now.
The Little Rascals. You
That's
like
right.
that?
I do. It's and that's one thing. I think sometimes fire and whatever term you want to use, team spirit, whatever you want to use, is a little overblown sometimes. And I know guys like Seager and Simeon have gotten a lot of hate, criticism for not being those fiery type leaders, but that's just their personalities. But in saying that, I don't think they had anybody this year that was that fiery guy, and not saying that they've got bad culture, good culture, whatever. But a couple of these kids that have come in here and kind of lit a fire under them a little bit.
You're right, though. Is Evaldi the closest to that
Yeah,
fire?
and even he's not a
Right,
I
yeah.
mean, he's fiery when he's pitching, but you see him in the dugout, and they're all just so kind of calm, cool, and collected, win or lose. But they've brought in some of these kids that, they don't know that they don't know what they don't know, I guess.
Yes.
And they're making plays when plays need to be made. Michael Hellman's played for 3 teams this year. I mean, who's Michael Hellman? I didn't know who Michael Hellman was till a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And the dude's lit things on fire. We went to Louisville on vacation, and they had a Rangers player's bat sitting there, a kid named Cody Freeman. I'd never heard of Cody Freeman. Well, now he's come up and, another guy that's kind of playing with his hair on fire. And
Great last name, too.
yes.
It's amazing.
I kind
Didn't
of.
like the hair on fire thing, but I think that was a ball joke directed at me.
Is that what happened?
All right, hey, I just have this question though, because we were talking about all this. You guys got to let me know. Like, are we getting in the playoffs or what? Do I need to start paying attention?
They are a game and a half out of the wild card and 2.5 out of the division with 15 to play.
Correct. Yeah. So I thought this was very interesting. I was at
Big road trip. They go to New York and then to Houston, but Houston's kind of running on fumes right now. They've had a lot of injuries too, so it'll be this road trip will be huge.
15 games left.
So next week when we record, somebody give me an update of whether I need to start paying attention and getting excited or not.
Yes, you will know. If we record next Thursday, you will know because they'll just finish this 6-game series. 15 games left, 6 in a row against teams currently in the playoffs, and then the last 9 against teams currently not in the playoffs.
Right. But Cleveland is one of the teams that they're kind of battling with. Here you go, Grant. Let's put it in perspective. I read this stat earlier. 18 games ago, they lost. That's when Seager went down and Evaldi went down. They've also lost Evan Carter. They've lost Marcus Simeon. In those 18 games, they're 14-4.
Well, should have hurt them people earlier.
No, don't say that.
And now they're saying
Bad coaching.
they're saying Seager may be back middle of next week.
And he had an
Keep this butt
appendectomy.
out.
No,
Yeah.
you want Seager back. No, I don't know. There's talk about Simeon coming back, and I don't know. I mean, I love Marcus Simeon, but I think I'd rather see Cody Freeman right now.
Broken foot for Simeon, right?
Yeah, he fouled a ball off his foot.
Oh, yeah.
Same game that Evan Carter got hit and broke his wrist.
No good. I got nothing else on the rundown except for a question about Coach Free's Ninja Creaming. Anything good?
It's in Wichita Falls with Miss Freeman. I'm very upset with that, by the way. So I don't know how you like barter that out when we have two households going here, but I lost.
Yeah, that's the reason I asked the question is I live in an apartment complex. I walked down the stairs the other day and there was a delivery at the bottom of my neighbor's door, and guess what it was? Ninja Creamy.
Is it the new one with the soft serve?
I didn't look that close, to be honest with you.
Because now they have the new one has a soft serve where you can put it in the cone.
It sounds like the Freeman Burnett household may have a new Ninja Creamy pretty soon.
If I knew how to use Amazon and change the address,
I think we need to get this clip. I'm going to clip this, tag at Ninja Creamy. I think we need like a brand ambassador deal for Coach Free.
yeah, I don't know how that hasn't already happened yet. But here's the deal. If you send me the new Ninja Creamy, Mr. Ninja, or whoever we're talking to here, not only will I use it daily, but I will showcase it on the fastest growing podcast in the nation, the Free for All.
Bang.
Wow.
That right there is, top tier ad placement. You can't pay for that.
Hey, MJ.
We're now across state line. We're across the state now. That's how big we are.
Wow.
I feel like that was a fat joke.
It could be, but again, I have a bone to pick with both of you.
Oh boy, here we go.
And I'm pushing my time here, but I do have a bone to pick with both of you. I'm down here working on the Free for All, and there are radio stations down here fighting to get the Free for All like broadcast on their radio station. I text this to my two partners here. Are
you saying
2 days ago?
They want to syndicate our show? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there are no responses. None. I'm throwing this out to my two partners in crime here that people want to broadcast and syndicate out our podcast over open airways in the Austin area. And they can't even respond to me and say, hey, Coach Free, you're an idiot. Nothing. They don't even read the text.
Little do you know, Chad and I have been working behind the scenes to establish the intellectual property of this podcast so that we can make that happen. Chad, just go with it. Just pretend that's true.
I don't know what any of that means.
Hey, my school district doesn't have an athletic director anymore. I've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
Busy.
Well, I was just trying to, trying to give us to all the people out here.
Hey, MJ, I did want to speak also on, and you may not know this, but, Grant may not be the most talented on-air Freeman in the Freeman household anymore.
Oh.
Yes, we had Jordan Freeman do some stuff with us for our back-to-school assembly, and telling you what, he may have some competition.
Maybe that should be broadcast in the Hill Country.
That's fine.
Wow.
More power to Jordan Freeman.
All right. I think on that note, instead of it causing any more family strife in the Freeman household, we will wrap it there. What do you think?
Ninja Creamy.
Hit him up. See if we can get him to look at our fast-growing Free-for-All podcast, which, by the way, if you'll do us a favor, we have a new YouTube page for, so you can follow that on YouTube. Search Free-for-All at Free4All_pod on YouTube. Subscribe, give it the thumbs up. That's where you can find our podcast nowadays. We have transitioned over from the WFISD account to our very own Free-for-All YouTube page. And guys, great news. I think someday we can figure it out where we can also broadcast live. How cool would that be?
Nice.
Probably not good for us.
I think it'd be very good. But I got to get better at working the buttons.
Hey, so and for those of you that want both podcasts, we also yesterday kicked off Inside WFISD Athletics as well. So
that's right. Chad and I hosting that, giving you the latest happenings in the world of Wichita Falls Independent School District athletics. Okay, gentlemen, thanks so much for the time. It was episode 2 of season 3 here on the Free for All, and we will see you next time from the KFDX Plus studio.